talking about the Bills or the Chiefs this weekend. I love to see the people that were uncomfortable this weekend because they're comfortable every Sunday. It's okay. And all these people talking about it's unsafe, Ryan, I don't know where you land on this stuff. Players seem just fucking fine to me. I want to talk about Bills and Chiefs just really quick. I don't know if you noticed this, but I think Josh Allen, the best thing the Bills have going for him, besides Josh Allen, is the fact Josh Allen just got over a slump and barely anybody noticed it. You know, in the middle of this run, there was a period, and it included the Pats game, Chargers game, half of the Dolphins game, some of the decisions he made. And the Dallas game, he didn't really have to do much throwing the football. I don't know if he was dinged or what, but that's a slump that he got out of the way, and I thought he looked really good Monday.
I thought he was awesome. And, you know, I think that was a game that was a bit like, hey, we're just better than these dudes. You know, you're up 14-0. Those two routes, like, were wide open and on the touchdowns. So then you're starting to think, you know, I just know how you guys are. I think it's a really, really tough sport. And when you think you're that much better than your opponent, and then in classic Pittsburgh fashion, you go, wait, if Buffalo doesn't score here, like, is this game going to get weird? Is something going to happen? And there's no TJ Watt out there. And, you know, it's just funny, like, every time Pickens loses his shit, and it's like just a reminder of, like, you realize this is why he didn't go as high in the draft, right? Like, as incredible as he is.
That thing sucks because he's one of my favorite players, and I can't. And
there's always something. There's always something. Like, I was joking around before the summer, or this summer before the season started, being like, all right, let me try to come up with, like, these fake props. And it was like first receiver to motherfuck his quarterback.
Yeah.
I was like, and then I go, this is just mean. I ended up not even doing the whole thing. And look, that's not the bigger part of it. So you're saying that he broke out of his slump. When I look at that Miami game.
The second half of the Miami game is when he broke out of that slump.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Because that zero, the second pick is on 4th and 2.
Second pick's on 4th and 2. I think there's a lot of people.
It's still not great. It's still not great.
I mean, here's the deal, man.
The first pick was bad, though. The first pick was bad. So you're telling me he's broken out of the slump in the last 3 halves? Okay.
Yeah, because of the ball placement. You know, they're two separate issues. If you look at the ball placement against the Chargers, and if you look at the ball placement against the Patriots, not very good. You know, it just wasn't as good. And I wondered if in that run-heavy game in Dallas where he actually had tucked the rock and run a good bit, I think sometimes we think about Josh as just the quarterback, right? Even though he's so clearly a position player. He's a quarterback and a position player. He's a tight end that's going to get 5 catches a game. You know what I mean? He ran the ball for 52 yards the other day. I'm not reducing him to a tight end, but what I am saying is the physical toll is that of a guy who's going to get the ball 5 times in the game. You know, running down the field, running quarterback power, taking off, scrambling, and sometimes a little injury that's not on the injury report can affect, I would think, something as mechanical as throwing the football. You know, like when I was hurt, you're not going to notice the difference for the most part. It's not a skill position.
I could.
You can. But this guy is a skill player who also plays like a position player, and I kind of wonder sometimes if he gets dinged. Like you get a little bruise on your shoulder, you get a little pec thing, or you get your back's bothering you, that fucks with your mechanics. And I know Matt Stafford's sore today, but Josh does that shit all the time, and he just keeps getting up. And so sometimes I wonder if he's a little dinged up. I think he looked a lot better the last, as you put it, 3 halves of football, and I'm excited for this weekend.
I can't wait. I can't wait for this game. Do you have a lean?
It's a really tough one, dude. It really is. Because the last one, it was like a Big 12 game. And they changed the rules in overtime over it. I was at that game. Incredible. One of the best days of my football life. I was retired. I get to go watch my brother, who was suited up for the Chiefs. He was hurt at the time. Went with the edibles that day. There was enough fireball at Arrowhead Stadium that I would have had a really rough one had I gone the other route. And I got to sit in the suite and watch that whole thing unfold. And I just can't get it out of my head. But this matchup's going to be so much different, I would think. I would think this matchup's going to be about the run game. I would think this matchup would be about, like, hey, what are the differences between Joe Brady versus Spags the first time and this time? Because you got infinitely more tape than you did the first time. I think Nick Bolton wasn't there the first game. So I think this game's going to be kind of unpredictable and more physical than the last playoff matchup.
Yeah, I told myself, like, after Wild Card Weekend, like, don't let this permeate too many of the thoughts in the divisional round here, but I've always had faith in Allen despite the turnovers that drive me crazy. Like, I wasn't incredibly shocked that they ran the table the rest of the way. I think a lot of us looked at me like, have you realized how good this team is and how unlucky they are with some of the stuff? And I mean, it's funny how that Philly game with Jake Elliott hitting the 59-yard in the rain to send it to overtime, and you're like, Buffalo's been the better team here for 3 straight hours. Like, what is this outcome going to mean? And then Philly wins it, and we're like, all right, I'm supposed to think that like Philly's still really good and Buffalo's not. Like, come on, Buffalo looked like the better team the whole time. So, you know, whether the Dolphins defense that was missing a handful of super important guys, do I let that get in my head too much that like I'm scared to death of picking against Mahomes? I don't even want to pick against him. But it's like, was that a little bit easier, or the weather cancel all that out? And the fact that this Chiefs defense, like, this is one of the 5 best defenses in the NFL.
It's one of the 3. It's one of the, because Miami.
You think it's 3?
I made claims this year that it was the best defense in the NFL.
Better than Baltimore.
Look, I think Baltimore's proven to be the better defense. I'm not going to disrespect Baltimore with their track record, but what I will say is, I've seen Kansas City do this before, where they get better as the year goes on, and I think Spags had less improvements to make. It was funny. I had him on the show, and I asked him, and he kind of skirted the question. Spags, do you have 2 different identities dreamt up for your team, predicated on whether Chris Jones played or not? Because they were going to be two totally different groups. I think they're great. The hardest thing is figuring out who to root for. Rye. I don't know who to root for. I love them both. Josh, Patrick, Josh. You know,
if we're going with a city that deserves it, there's no.
Then it's got to be Buffalo.
No
then I got to root for Buffalo this week here.